Hi, my name's Ian, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be changing the wishbones on my wife's 2012 Vauxhall Agila B. So this is the vehicle in question. On the driver's side, I've been having a problem with a knocking sound coming from it for a while, and I detected a little while ago that it is the wishbone that's causing the issue. But I also suspect I've got a problem on this side as well, so I'm going to be changing that one as well. So we're going to do the pair. Well, the first thing we have to do is remove this plastic splash, which basically fits up the side here. Go underneath. Basically it covers all of this extra chassis leg here, and it's very similar to the one that's on the other side, which I still need to take off. Basically it's held on by two 10mm bolts. One on this side, on the other on the side it's done is just sheared off. But then there's one on the other side which seems to just come out quite easily, and then there's lots of the plastic clips which just hold them all in place, so you just need to slowly pop those out. I've broken one of them, but it's not too bad. There's some already missing from the car already, so I don't know what's happened there, whether they fell out or what in the past. But basically what we need to do now to be able to get the wishbone off, there's when we get the wheel off, there's a pinch bolt that holds it on here. There's also this bolt here which we need to undo, that one there where my finger is, and then located up inside here is another bolt which you can actually see from the other side, but it's just impossible to get at it. So my idea is, if it's going to work, is I'm going to undo this bolt here, that bolt there, this one here, and then there's another one behind just there if the camera's picking it up. I'm going to get that undone and hopefully be able to remove this extension to the chassis leg, and then behind that I should be able to get to the bolt which comes through here with a bit of luck. That makes sense. So to undo this chassis bolts, you're going to need a 14mm socket or a 14mm spanner, but if you've got an Ugga Dugga gun, it's probably worth having it. But I've not got one, so I'm going to have to try and put an extension bar on and see if I can get it loose, because it's absolutely tight. It actually turns out that the nut that this goes into is actually captive, so you don't need to worry about that. It's just a case of just working it, because it felt like it was turning, but it wasn't. So what I've done now, I've left that bolt in there. That's just loosened very slightly, but I've got it enough that this is now dropped, and I can pull it this way if I want to once I get the wheel off, and then the bolt to undo that part of the wishbone is located in where my finger's going in there, so it's inside here, hence the reason I'm dropping this down to be able to get it out. So I'm going to stop at this point on this side. I'm now going to do exactly the same on the other side. In fact, what I'm going to do, begin with actually thinking about it, I'm just going to see if I can just crack this nut while I'm underneath it, just to make it like, or this bolt should I say, so I can just get that, so that at least I know that part of the wishbone it's going to be get-atable, because once it's on the jack, I'll put some axle stands down, but hopefully it'll might rock about a bit, so that's what I'm going to do. To get that bolt undone, you're going to need a 17mm socket. Why everything's all got to be different sizes, I really don't know, but that's what it is. Right, that's both of the chassis extensions now loosened off and pulled out the way, so hopefully once we get the wheels off we should be able to get to the bolts quite easy. I've also loosened off the back sections of the wishbones as well, so hopefully that'll make life easier as well. So the first thing we're going to do is get the wheel nuts all cracked off, and then we'll get the car jacked up. So if you're wondering what the reason is for me changing these today, is I've got this this section here, I've got play in it, so when I go over bumps you can hear it going bang 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 bang. So I need to take that out, and I suspect the other side's going as well. Where we live, where we're here, is on an old farm track, and it's got lots and lots of potholes in it, and basically just shakes the whole car to bits. So that's the reason I'm changing that. I'll need to undo the pinch bolt on there in a minute. I've already released this bolt here slightly. I've got that one loose. And then if you're wondering what the reason is for me actually doing what I've just done with the chassis, is that we needed to get to that bolt just here, because otherwise you have to try and access it from down there instead. and once you get it so far, basically you would lose it down the inside of this tube. Hence the reason I've done what I've done now. So I've got a really easy access now to that bolt to get it undone. So to get this bolt undone, I need a 17mm socket. So to get it loose, I've got an extension on there, and then I put part of my jack handle on there as well to create a longer bar to give me some leverage, because I suspect it's going to be quite a devil to get loose. Oh, actually not as bad as I thought. What was it? Did it slip? Oh, maybe it slipped. Oh, that's going. Okay. So as you saw there, I've now managed to get that one loose before I end up doing anything else. So that one's loose, the other one's loose. I'm just now going to undo the pinch bolt. Just down here, that pinch bolt there. I suspect that's probably a 12mm I'm going to need on there to get that undone. I'm going to loosen that off. Then I'm going to have to try and separate this out of the joint. Once I've got that loose, then I can undo the rest of it and pull it all out with a bit of luck. Well, I'm guessing is completely off today. That's going to be a 14mm to get that one undone. Again, I've just had to use the long bar on this just to get it cracked undone. It was quite tight. So yeah, I'm going to loosen that off now, then hopefully get to separate it in a minute. Once you've got the nut off the left hand side of it, you'll then need to, there's a bolt that comes through here. Let me see where my finger is on the socket. You'll need to undo that now and wind it all the way out. Once you get the bolt out so far past the threads, then obviously it'll just slide out after that. You might need to just use a drift on the other side, but I found it came out reasonably easily. Right, the next thing we've got to do now is separate, well, the camera's picking it up, separate this from here, and I'm going to just try and give it a bit of a tap with a hammer and just see if it pops loose. I have actually got like a fork device for taking out track rod ends and stuff like that, so if hitting it doesn't work, then I might have to go down the route of putting it that way, but I'm trying to use as less violence as possible. Well, I've tried hitting it with a hammer and it's not working, so I'm going to have to use the splitter on it. I don't really like using these, but then again, obviously the part's going to be changed anyway, so we'll have to use it. Well, even the splitter ain't working. I think it's because that's onto rubber. I think it's just bouncing up and down. I have to try and find some other way of doing it. Being an arse. Well, that was an absolute arse to get out. I don't know if it's to do with my technique or what, but or whether I need to release anything else to make it come undone a bit easier. I don't know. But that side's out. Now I've got to take the two other bolts out now that I've already loosened off, and then hopefully pull it out and then pop the new one in somehow or other. You can see now the reason I took out this piece of chassis down here of getting this bolt out of here, because once you've got it so far, even if you manage to loosen it with a spanner, you would never ever get it any further than where I've got it now. Because there's nowhere in the world you'd ever get your fingers in there to be able to pull it out. And that's the length of the bolt that you have to pull out of that hole. So that's all the bolts now out, and all I've got to try and do now is work this thing out of position and get the new one in there. So I'm going to try and work it out from this section here. Oh, my grandson's making lots of noises, and then pull this section out from here, and then the whole thing should then drop out. Right, so that's two bits out. Just got to get the last bit out over in the far corner there. What fun. So after a bun fight, that's the first one out, and I don't know whether it's noticeable in the footage. Well, we can get the thing right. that there's up and down movement in that section there, and that's basically was transferring through. That's what the banging was that I could feel in the car, and I suspect, as I said, that the other one's got the same problem. So I've bought two, so I might as well just change the other one while I'm at it. But hopefully that one's not so much of a bun fight as this one. So here's our nice sparkly new one. So how I got the old one out, I don't know whether it's the correct way of doing it, but I sort of went straight and had it like whizzed round a bit of an angle, so it went in like that, and then you swing the other one in, so that locates in, and then obviously the last thing to do then would be to locate the pin back into the back end of the hub, which I think is going to be the fun bit to do this time. But I might employ a jack or something like that to help me a little bit with it, because I think it was under pressure from the spring. Well, I've not quite got it all the way in yet, but it's a case of just sort of like a bit of wiggling, jigglery, pokery sort of game with it. I think I might just need to give it a little bit of a tap now just to get it in. So I'll get a bit of wood probably just underneath here and a hammer, and just try and tap it in through there, and then this one here then should line up, and then we'll mess about with the hub one afterwards. I've discovered that you think for some reason that the bolts aren't going in, but what you need to do is just give them a little bit of a tap, so it just clears the rubber on the other side, because it sort of the thread gets stuck on it. So I had to give it a little bit of a tap, and then just to get them through. So I've got this one nearly all the way in now. The other one over there is 3/4 of the way in. So I'm just going to leave them sort of with a bit of play in, and then get this one in then, and then we'll nip them all up later. Well, all I can say is this job's been a bit of an arse. I'm nearly there with it now. You can see there I've just got the got this bit to put in. I can't remember what it's called now, my brain's that fried. But basically I had to just loosen off the strut to begin with, but then I think the problem I did have, I don't really do need to release the strut, is I think I pulled the drive shaft out. But I've got that back in now. As I said, I'm just going to get a rubber mallet now and just tap that up, and I think it will go in now. When you come to tighten this bolt up here on this one that goes sideways, there's two ways of doing it. One, what you'll need to do is you need to either get the vehicle back down on the floor and then tighten it up, or the other option is you can put a jack underneath here and jack it up so it gets it to normal level. But I'd rather do it with it on the floor. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this all off for now, and then once we've got the other side done, we'll get it on the floor with the two wheels back on it, and then we're going to tighten it up then. Well, that's one side done. I'm going to take the wheel back off again tomorrow, because I want to clean all the wheel arches up and everything from all that mud and everything that's all on there. Even though it's quite light still at the moment, it's going to chuck it down with rain very shortly. That's what it's forecast. Apologies for the wind, but it's blowing up a hoolie. So it's time to clear up. Well, I've cleared up now. So get the other side done tomorrow and give the car a damn good clean as well. Right, going to make a start on the other side now. Thankfully it's in the shade. It's quite a warm day today, so yeah, so I'm going to crack the wheel nuts off and get the car jacked up. It would appear that this wishbone has been on a shorter time than the other one, judging by the state of it. I do sort of recollect that it was changed at one point, but as I said, I suspect I've got the banging sound coming off this side as well. So while we're at it, and for the cost of them, I thought, well, I might as well just replace it. I mean, if it is still good when I take it off, then I might just keep it as a spare. We'll see. Repeat procedure now of what we did on the other side. As I said yesterday, I cracked this off for it, ready to go. We need to get that nut, or this bolt here, undone from there. We need to take this one out from over here as well, this bolt here, obviously that, and I cracked that one off yesterday as well while I was underneath the car, so that should come off fairly easily. And then to finish off, then we need to, on the right side of the car, is it? No, the other side of the car. Working backwards now. We need to get this nut off of this pinch bolt, basically, get that released, and then we can then drop the whole thing out as we did before. I'm not going to lie, that one was flipping tight. We've managed to get it loose now, so I'll just loosen that off a bit more, leave those in place for a second. Same with the one on the other side there, loosen that a bit off a bit more, and then we'll crack on with the, as I said, with the pinch bolt. So I'm now undoing the pinch bolt. Now it's possible that it might be spinning on the other side here. Let's have a quick look. Ooh. Oh, apologies for the camera angles, etc. Oh no, it's not. Sometimes you'll find it might spin on this side here, so we're going to get the nut off so far, then we're going to release it from this side as well. We're going to undo it with the spanner, and then we can then knock the pin straight through. Blimey, that's tight. That's all 3 bolts back out. You need to make sure you stick these 2 long ones back in the right places. This one here is the one that goes in through where we have to take the chassis out. It's the long one. That one goes at the back, and that's the one for the pinch bolt. That one there. So now, as before, we're going to have to get a what I used last time was a piece of wood on the top of here, and then hit it with a mallet and got it to separate itself from within where the pinch bolt is, or the pinch section, should I say. So basically this locates up inside of here, and we need to get it out from there. Yeah, this one's definitely been replaced more recently. As you can see, it's starting to come out now, so you can see a bit of the silver thing coming out through from underneath it. Another couple of whacks and that's going to drop out. Go, that's loose. See now, that's popped out. So that's now loose of where it needs to be. Now what we need to do now is just I'm going to work it out from this one first. So I'm going to start pulling sort of backwards and over to the right. Get that one out first, and then after that one we'll then slide that one out. And last time I used a bit of a bar to get that to move. So I'll do the same. I'm not sure. A bit jiggery pokery. I'm not sure how well the camera's showing any of this, but we'll give it a go. There we are. That's that section out. Pull that out of the way there. So you can see now this is how I've got it there now. And now all I've got to do now is wiggle this out backwards in this direction. This one's a bit tighter than the last one. The rubber's starting to split on it actually. Quite glad I'm taking it out. Oh, this one's being a bit of a bummer. Get a screwdriver in there. That one's being a bum. That one. So close and yet so far. almost there now. We're almost there. Tiny bit more. God, it really is being a bummer. The other one came out, so there we go. Whew. Yeah, sometimes they can be a bit of an arse to get out. I'll clean all that debris out of there. Nice when we go back, put the new one back in. Whew. Right, I'm quite glad actually I'm doing this one, because I've not got the same movement that I had there, but if you look here you can see how that's rubber is all splitting around here now, and it probably won't be very long until that starts. I mean, that could be even the start of my my knocking is that I've got there. Yeah, I'm quite glad I'm taking it out. There's a tiny bit of movement in that, not as half as much as what there's in the other one there. Right, let's get the other one set up. So now I started the reverse process of putting in the new one. I've sort of got it slightly in there to begin with, but we need to get this section in here first because it has to sit over a bit of a lip. So once we've got that in, then I think we can then jig that back into the right position, and then obviously then sort out where the other bit goes into the pinch bolt. But I'm going to need to tease this in now. Probably just use the bit of wood that I've got down here and a hammer just to tease that back into its hole because it's quite tight. Well, I'm having a bit of fun and games with this one. I did try to locate it in to this slot here first. That was already in slightly, but the problem is that it seems to be at a weird angle. So what I've actually done now, I've located this in properly in here, and I've actually started threading up the bolt in there, so that can't come out of its position now. So I just need to work this section round here now into the hole. It's just a bit of Jenga really, a bit of jiggery pokery, and you'll get there in the end. What could sometimes help you in these situations, especially if you're working on your own, you've not got a third pair of hands, is if you've got a spare jack. I mean, I've just taken the one out of the camper van, and it's a scissor jack, and it's just literally just jack this wishbone up a little bit just so I can get the hole to locate in the right position, and it's worked perfectly for that. So let's go straight in there now, and then we can start getting that threaded up. Right, so that's both the back bolts now in. I'm going to leave them loose for now. In fact, as I said earlier on, this one and same with the one on the other side, they're not going to get tightened up until the wheels are back on and the car is actually back down level on the floor. Then they'll get nipped up at that point. But yeah, I'm going to leave this other one loose, and now it's a case of just locating the one into the hub. So you can get the new one into where the hub position is. Sometimes you just have to give these a push. Now bearing in mind these are brand new and they're very, very stiff, so I've now got it into like a more near enough vertical position, and then I need to then drop the hub over the top of it. There we are. So that's in so far, and all I need to do now is just give this a little bit of a tap with a rubber mallet, and that'll pop in. There we go. That's all the way in now. I'll just need to put the pinch bolt back in, and then get other things tightened up. And that's it now. That's the installation of the second one now complete. All I've got to do now is put everything back together. As I said earlier on, I might have to be repeating myself here, this bolt here and the one on the other side, do not tighten them up until you've got it back on its wheels. Or the other option is, as I said, you could jack up from underneath now and get it up to where it sort of looks like it might be where it'll be on its wheel, so it's not got your extension, your suspension all stretched. Because what you don't want to go doing is ripping that rubber seal that's down there on both sides there, because that's what could happen with it. Just to make the tightening up process of the wishbone and also the chassis extensions, I put the car up on the ramps just so I can get underneath it and get good access. Excuse the wind. So with the chassis extension just out the way here, I can get straight into where the bolt is at the back there, and then give it a good old tightening up. There we go. Some tight. Right, now put the chassis leg back in here. Then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm now going to put the chassis extensions back in. I've tightened up the other one of these. Now there's a long bolt here, and then you've got three shorter ones. One short one goes at the back here, and the other short one goes up into this section here. So that's everything all back in. The only thing I haven't done yet is I've not put the splashes back in on the front end of the wheel arches. That's because, as you can see, this car's absolutely covered in mud, and I'm going to get the pressure washer out later and give it a damn good blasting all underneath, get all this debris from underneath it. The car's due an MOT shortly, so I want to present it as best as possible. And there's the other wishbone there on the other side. Everything's all tightened up, double checked everything as well, make sure there's nothing loose. So yeah, job done. I've just been on a test drive, and I can confirm that the knocking has now disappeared. Well, at least for now anyway. So that's the wishbone installation now complete. If you've got any questions regarding this install, then please do not hesitate to contact me, because it's quite a, it's not a difficult job, but it's a bit of an awkward job to do. So if you're not confident in doing it, it might be well worth going to a mechanic to do it. But if you've got the tools available to you, then and the time, all in all, it's probably taken me, including taking the front part of the chassis off, and also filming it, around probably about 5 hours it's took all together, which I suppose is not too bad. But obviously if you went to a garage, you could probably do it in a couple of hours. They'll probably charge you probably 300 quid for the job. I mean, the wishbones themselves have got quite a good deal on those. I've got those for just less than 40 quid for the pair off of eBay. So as I said, I think a garage, you're probably looking at around 300 quid for the job to be done if you're not confident in doing it yourself. But it'd be fantastic if you could like and subscribe to the channel, it'd be much appreciated, and I'll see you again in the next one. Cheers.